Hello and welcome to Showtime, a special edition of our monthly broadcast, Primetime Watchmaking in the News, where we discuss the watchmaking industry and all things related to watchmaking. So today we will come back on the Watches and Wonders week and what needs to be said and or added, of course, some new watches that appeared in the meantime, as well as some other important developments on the business side. But first things first, and during Watches and Wonders 2024, we saw many timepieces and conducted numerous interviews, which you are cordially invited to check out here on YouTube or directly on our website, watchestv.com. So featured brands include Lang & Söhne, Angelus, Grand Seiko, Hermès, Ferdinand Berthoud, H. Moser & Company, Hublot, Piaget, Vacheron Constantin, and many others. And feel free to comment on the watches you like the most, as today we will show you quite a few more. But now, straight to business. And just a few days before the launch of Watches and Wonder, the CEO of Rolex, Mr. Jean-Frédéric Dufour, gave a rare in-person interview about the Salon and his vision for the market this year. According to Mr. Dufour, after a surge of interest in luxury watches fueled by the pandemic and geopolitical tensions, the trend is now declining. Smaller brands are expected to face a rough landing with potential losses around 20% in terms of volume. Meanwhile, larger players are likely to see only a 2 to 3 decrease in their annual income. Unfortunately, this is not so unexpected, and we've been mentioning this since a little while already. And 2 years ago, brands rode a wave of undivided attention towards luxury items, particularly timepieces, increasing production to meet demand. However, the market is now stabilizing, to say the least, and customers are less inclined to spend on bold designs and overpriced watches, not to mention that the availability of hot pieces has evolved. So this was somewhat demonstrated by the soft launches during the Salon. Timeless and iconic models, comfortable shapes, fewer diamonds, and earth tone color palette are what will always be in demand. Another significant challenge for brands is that retailers are likely to discount models to survive, as the level of stock has yet become rather high. On one hand, this means that if you're patient enough, you can acquire your desired timepiece at a very competitive price. On the other hand, it is clear that demand is much lower than the supply, which is troubling for the brands. And it's clear that Mr. Dufour was correct about the state of the market, as Swiss watch exports suffered a significant setback in March, as reported by the Federation of Swiss Watch Industry. The value of exports fell by 16.1% compared to March of the previous year, dropping to just 2 billion francs, and marking the lowest monthly figure since 2020. So notably, China and Hong Kong shifted from being major customers to more average consumers, with a drop of more than 40% on that month alone. Yes, quite brutal. But overall, the first quarter saw a significant decline of 6.3% from the previous year, accounting to $163 million of less sales. Steel watches were particularly affected, with their value decreasing by 28.2% and sales volume by 23.2%. Watches crafted from precious metals also faced a downturn, with a 11.6% reduction in value. Bimetallic watches experienced a less severe fall of 6.6%, and every material category witnessed double-digit drops in volume, totaling a 25.4% decline, particularly in the other material category, which suffered a 34.5% reduction. The most impacted was the previously high-demand price segment, ranging from 500 to 3,000 Swiss franc, indicating that the strong Swiss franc is strongly affecting the industry. In terms of brand, it seems everyone is hit, some obviously more than others, as mentioned before, big players remaining strong, but like I said, also hit. And for instance, it's now rare to see Richard Mille timepieces being sold above retail, and that's just a sign of what's going on. So this downturn is likely to pose challenges in the primary watch market and could impact the secondary market as well, as the number of available pieces is now clearly increasing. So we may soon see the effect of this as we approach the Geneva auction season in May, and top auction houses are expected to bring carefully curated collections to the market, although the outcomes may be less spectacular than anticipated. Regarding the auctions, Only Watch has announced the date for its 10th edition, set for May the 10th, and last year's challenges have led to a reduced number of participating brands, down from 62 to 47, and despite the good intentions of this charity event, brands such as Anderson Genève, Armstrong, Audemars Piguet, Biver, Boucheron, Karl F. Buescher, Chopard, De Béthune, Ferdinand Berthoud, Girard Perregaux, Jacob & Co. with Concepto, L. Leroy, Perlet, Tudor, and Ulysse Nardin opted to skip this year. So that's quite a few brands. But on the other hand, Patek Philippe, Lederer, and Constantin Chaikin presented new watches, as the unique pieces previously announced have apparently been sold. So Patek Philippe made quite a statement and came up with the reference 6301 A-010, the stainless steel minute repeater Grande and Petite Sonnerie. It features a rare handcraft dial with hand guilloché, a swirling pattern covered with a fantastic shade of blue, green, Grand Feu enamel, set with 12 baguette cut diamonds hour markers. Apparently this is a big sign that the brand is here to support Luc Petavino in his endeavor, and this piece alone could fetch a heavy price, but probably not in the record territory. Constantin Chaikin opted for yet another joker, this time with an open-work golden dial, a 40mm joker Sandman Only Watch 2024, which has the same case from Bullard Steel as the Stargazer presented last year. However, this time with much less complication. Finally, Lederer announced the Central Impulse chronometer to be its pièce unique for the sale. It is a high-performance wristwatch with double détente escapement invented by Bernard Lederer in 2020. This timepiece measures 44mm in diameter, has no dial, as the minutes and hours hands are superpositioned in a way that they are hovering above the movement. So it was encouraging to hear that Only Watch is back on track again, because many waited for this to happen. However, there are still some unresolved questions that could unpredictably influence the auction result. Will collectors play the game as with previous editions? Well, I'm pretty certain that the buying frenzy will be somewhat slowed down, and this could be very much the last edition of this auction. I mean, it's quite likely actually. We'll see. And here we go with another business news, and a few changes are occurring at Greubel Forsey with the nomination of Michel Niedreger as CEO of the brand which is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year, and he will replace Antonio Calce, who came into the picture almost 4 years ago with the goal of restructuring the company, both in terms of internal organization, but also in terms of product development, in particular with the sportier lines of timepieces, reducing the size, and also reducing the entry price into the brand. And one could feel that one objective was to wink at the Richard Mille type of clientele. During these past years, the brand has more than doubled its production, now above 250 units per year, we are told. Staff has increased to 150 collaborators, and one of the ideas behind all this was to actually sell the company. But since this did not happen, it has now been decided to go more to a family-governed company, as Michel Niedreger is the stepson of Robert Greubel, and despite his young age, Michel has been in the company since 2016, heading marketing and communication. So he's now at the helm of a brand that has clearly been pivotal in redefining the codes of super high-end watchmaking, whether on the engineering side, but of course when it came to these new quality standards, and this all set from the very inception of the brand created by Robert Greubel and Stephen Forsey. So how will this impact the brand and its future? Well, time will tell, but we are already aware of some exciting projects developed by Greubel Forsey, projects always mixing between some clear innovation and tradition at the same time, and I know we are often a bit tired of hearing this constant innovation, tradition dichotomy, but this is really what it's all about. So for instance, involving mechanical developments at the nanoscale, we heard. Well, good luck to the newly appointed CEO, quite a tough and serious mission ahead of him for sure. Still in the business news segment, and before jumping to actual timepieces in a sec, I wanted to follow up on something mentioned in the last edition of Primetime. We know that the current owner of the Parmigiani Group, the Sandoz Foundation, wants to sell the entire group, meaning the production capacities, 5 entities in total, plus the brand. And if you want to know more details about it, I clearly invite you to check one of those Who's Who of Watchmaking we published already 7 years ago, and you will know everything. But the most likely outcome is that the brand will be sold separately to the industrial arm, and I personally wouldn't be too surprised that some kind of management buyout will occur regarding the brand. And concerning the manufacturing capacities, well, the most talked rumors consist of a takeover by Hermès in a joint venture deal with Audemars Piguet. So this would give them access to increased and proven capabilities while not letting LVMH further develop their foothold in the watchmaking industry, as we know their current appetite for this. So yes, quite some heavy negotiations are currently going on. But as a small side note, I found it interesting to hear TAG Heuer being so transparent on the development of their Monaco split seconds chronograph seen at Watches and Wonder, done with Vaucher Manufacture, their new entry in the super high-end segment of timepieces. Well, I don't know if it had anything to do with it, with these negotiations. I mean, you know, like being, we're nice guys and consider us for the acquisition, or, and I hope this is more the case, that today brands are more keen on putting forward the people and companies they work with, a trend which we've noticed more since a couple of years, something which indeed rejoices me, as without the suppliers of the industry, well, it simply wouldn't work. But talking of trends, well, since quite a while I can say that I didn't notice any particular trends emerging from this Geneva week. Often you found similarities, whether colors, shapes, complications coming at the same time, but difficult to spot anything of the like this year. Very disparate collections from everyone, and one could feel that some brands have held on some releases until better times, but that's just a gut feeling. Okay, so in other news, Omega has presented a new Speedmaster chronoscope for the Olympics 2024 and unveiled its new Precision Lab. The latter is designed to conduct thorough chronometric testing on watches and will be open to all brands. So the newly established Laboratoire de Précision has been officially authorized by the Swiss Accreditation Service and will operate similarly to the COSC. It's aimed to pursue reliable, independent and impartial testing of watch movement, and we can already say that it will be interesting to see what brands will express their desire to test their sophisticated time-telling object in this private lab, if you see what I mean. But the idea is nonetheless a good one. Okay, and now buckle up, because we have a rogue wave of timepieces coming from Watches and Wonders and from those who were called the pirates of the Salon, exhibiting throughout Geneva. We're talking a bit more than 50 brands inside the main convention hall, but overall there were more than 250 brands present one way or the other during these crazy days. But first, we have a special surprise for you, as we asked our fellow watch bloggers and experts about their personal favorites of the Salon, and here are their answers.
Pièces que tu vas choisir au salon.
Alors la Piaget, le tourbillon, 2 mm d'épaisseur, fantastique. Ensuite, j'aime beaucoup le nouveau cupé de chez IWC, parce que c'est un cupé qui est devenu éternel, parce qu'il n'a plus le besoin d'être remis à l'heure tous les 400 ans au lieu de tous les 100 ans avant. Et encore, il n'y a qu'une certaine partie qui a besoin d'être remise à l'heure. Ensuite, j'ai pas encore vu les pièces Rolex, j'attends avec impatience. Qu'est-ce que j'ai vu de magnifique chez Hublot? Alors Hublot, ils ont fait un saphir transparent bleu. On a l'impression qu'ils ont pris la mer des Caraïbes, qu'ils ont solidifié et qu'ils ont fait une montre avec. Donc ça, c'est fantastique, ça fait 3. La tortue monopoussoir de chez Cartier. J'attends avec impatience de faire l'interview de Cyril Vigneron pour qu'il me parle de cette pièce. Et puis je dirais, s'il y en a encore une à choisir parmi toutes, le chronographe rattrapante Monaco de chez TAG Heuer. Je pense que Carole, la Queen of Tourbillon, elle est allée faire un tour là-dedans. Et c'est une horlogère, elle, maître horlogère exceptionnelle. Et là, franchement, je pense qu'on est bien.
That's a difficult question. I'm really impressed. Impressed is the wrong word, but I'm really happy that Tudor's brought out a solid gold watch on the bracelet at a price point of 30,000 Swiss franc. And you would now think, why would you spend 30,000 Swiss franc on a gold watch from Tudor? It's like, that's not a watch for today. It's a watch that levels the average price up. That it basically raises the average price of Tudor up, and that's a really important one because Tudor has a big history of a big future ahead of them. And I'm really looking forward to that. So it's a good start. It's the start of the Tudor journey, heading towards a different price point. Really impressed with that. I'm impressed with a good friend of mine who released the new Freak. Jules Nardin. I'm not a fan of their marketing campaign, I'm not going to lie. I think the watch doesn't photograph very well, but the watch in person is one of the most spectacular watches I've seen in many years. The dial is spectacular, it's unbelievable. So quite impressed with that. If I look at the Eternal calendar, that's of course it's groundbreaking in that way. Hermes with what they've done. I mean, Hermes, 5 years ago I didn't take them serious, 4 years ago I didn't take them serious, 3 years ago they started making noise. I think that was interesting, but I still didn't take them serious. Last year they rattled the cage, and today I'm like, they got my attention, and I think they deserve everyone's attention right now.
And the last one?
The last one, I think 2 more. Let me think. That's a difficult one. What is it? I think these are my top 3. I think we need to change that. But what is your favorite?
Okay, my favorite will be Hermes as well.
Yes?
Yeah.
Oh, that is mad. I genuinely never expected me to say that. I had a good conversation with the CEO of Hermes. What a nice guy as well. Very passionate, clear visionary. I'm really looking forward to the future of Hermes.
I liked many watches actually. To mention 5, I would certainly say the Jaeger LeCoultre 2 Mètres Chrono Moon, which is amazing. It's such a masterpiece in platinum and rose gold. I loved it, and also the version with the tourbillon. I also liked the Tag Heuer Monaco split second chronograph. Very beautiful, never abandoning the tradition but with such complication and innovation. Then I liked the Ulysse Nardin Fricasse. It was great. And I loved the Chanel pièce unique clock made for honoring the couture.
Okay.
So it's number 4 now.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Just missing one.
I missed one. Okay, the Patek Philippe Aquanaut Luce. It's fantastic. It's a dream for every woman on earth, I think.
And if you had to walk out of here with one?
Ooh, probably I would get arrested because I have a car with my name on it. But I would escape with the Jaeger LeCoultre 2 Mètres.
Why does it talk to you that much?
It told me something to my heart. I don't know why. Probably the results of huge work and balance behind it, or maybe the feeling and the mood of the brand. Jaeger LeCoultre is a brand which I admire a lot. But honestly, if I had to be 100% honest, I would escape with more than one. Oops.
Well, it could be. We have empty bags waiting just for this.
Fantastic, Brad. Let's go.
All right.
So I'll just say some things that come to mind immediately. I just finished up with Parmigiani. Love what they're doing with the new Torx. Zenith dive watches, not something we typically think about. Love what they're doing there with the revival pieces and all the other dive watches that they have, which is, again, we think about El Primero, so different. Nomos made a great impression with me this year because 31 watches at their first show. How do you make a splash? A bunch of different colors. Fun. I mean, it's like over $2,000. Manufacturer movement on the inside. Great wearable case, 38 millimeters. I mean, that's a great commercial product.
And the quality is amazing.
It's amazing. I mean, if you want to get a vertically integrated brand at that price, I mean, it's hard to beat that. Also love what Lange has done, Vacheron, and you're also seeing a lot of this high complication work with their Berkeley Grand Complication. I think 63 complications on one watch, insanity. I think 2,800 components. IWC had a great year too, I believe, and like just what they've done from the high end, but also revamping the Portuguese line, some of the new colorways. A lot to take in. Again, like this is only 25%. I have a lot more to see still, and we're in the middle of the event, but it's been a blur. It's been a lot of fun.
Have you noticed any trends so far?
Trends, I mean, I've noticed a lot of the brands have been a bit more centralized on what they're focusing on. I think in the past we've seen just a lot of different novelties. They're using this event just to throw everything at the wall, but you know, behind us here with like Tudor, which again, another brand I think did a great job, but 4 key products. Rolex, mostly just stainless steel one time, and then you have precious metal throughout. It seems like there's more focus on what every brand wants this event to be and how they can use this as a messaging platform. And that's one thing I noticed is it seems like less, more focus, and really thinking about the one collection that's going to be that hero.
So quite a range of opinions, but let's now grab your favorite drink, fasten your seatbelt, and we'll go through a rapid summary of some of the watches seen at Watches and Wonder and elsewhere. Okay, let's start with the Crown with some more classical evolutions compared to last year's quite audacious take. Remember the bubbles, etc. So this year we saw a GMT Master 2 in oyster seal with grey and black Serichrome bezel, an oyster perpetual day date 40mm with ombre dial, a day date 36 with blue-green dial with 18 carat ever rose gold bezel set with 60 trapeze cut diamond, a Rolex Deep Sea 18 karat yellow gold with a compression ring made from blue ceramics, and a bezel ring with graduated Serichrome inserts in blue ceramic as well. An oyster perpetual Cosmograph Daytona 18 karat white gold with natural mother of pearl dial, an oyster perpetual Sky Dweller in 18 karat ever rose or yellow gold on a Jubilee bracelet. But for me the most interesting piece was the new perpetual 1908 in platinum case with an ice blue rice grain motif guilloche type dial. Sincerely, this watch looked good and is decently priced, feels qualitative, and I guess this should talk to Rolex owners who are looking for a dress watch and want to stick to the robustness of something they already know. Okay, Rolex has tried this and there were some nice Cellini models in the past, but it simply didn't work out. But I think that the simplicity of this new Perpetual 1908 collection has something else. I mean, for instance, when you look at it on that side, well, you clearly recognize some of the old school Rolex shape there. Okay, let's quickly talk about sister company Tudor with the Black Bay monochrome certified Metas waterproof to 200 meter Black Bay 58 GMT with a bidirectional bezel, anti-magnetic certified waterproof to 200 meter, and a Black Bay 58 with 18 karat gold case with a total weight of 193 grams. Okay, now Patek, and besides the beautiful rare handcraft exhibition held downtown, well, the brand also showed us the following. A new world time reference, 5330G-001, with the date display synchronized with local time, and this is the first and required quite some development from them. Then a two-toned alarm travel time reference 55200RG with a rose gold case, 4 white gold pusher tubes, and a sunburst gray dial. Retrograde perpetual calendar rare handcrafts reference 5160-500R and rose gold, a perpetual calendar reference 5236P with a vintage inspired opaline rose gilt dial and ultra thin self-winding 31-260 PSQL caliber. A white gold annual calendar moon phase reference 5396 featuring a sunburst blue dial with a black gradient rim and 12 baguette diamond hour markers. A Nautilus flyback chronograph reference 5980-60G in white gold with an opaline blue-gray dial, an Aquanaut travel time reference 5164 in white gold with opaline gray dial again, and finally an Aquanaut travel time reference 5269 non-gem set rose gold version with the quartz movement. IWC impressed us with the Portuguese Eternal calendar in platinum, caliber 52640, which is its first perpetual secular calendar. The Gregorian calendar's leap year has to be adjusted every 400 years, and moon phase display every 45 million years. And there's one gear within that movement that does a turn in 4,000 years. Quite crazy, right? And by the way, this watch is set to be part of the Guinness World Record book at one point or another. Jaeger's star of the show was the Duomet Héliotourbillon Perpetual Caliber 338 with a moon phase accurate to 122 years, with this obviously very signature feature of this triple axis Héliotourbillon with seconds, month, day and night indicator, and with the perpetual calendar. Van Cleef & Arpels again demonstrated their good taste with probably the most beautiful booth of the show, always very poetic. And in terms of pieces, well, we saw the Lady Arpels Brise d'été in white gold 38mm with the inbuilt automaton, diamonds, mother of pearls, savorites, and spursatite garnets, and an automaton clock Apparition des Baies with 112 lacquered leaves in rose gold and a bird in white gold. Another automaton clock, the Bouton d'Or, with 684 air and hand-brushed flowers, hand-assembled onto narrow rods, and a fairy with the Plicajour enamel wings. Next with Chanel with the J12 Couture Workshop Automaton Caliber 6, developed and assembled by the Chanel watch manufacturer, with the manual launched animation of founder Gabrielle Coco Chanel at work. We saw also the J12 X-Ray Pink Edition in-house caliber 3.1 in rose sapphire, the boyfriend with the classic Chanel tweed jacket pattern on a dial and 18-karat gold chain on a bezel. Okay, let's now leave the premises of Watches and Wonders and move on to pirate territory.
Pirates.
And we'll start with De Bethune, who introduced the DB Kind of 2 Grande Complication in polished 5-grade titanium with a dual front and back display of hours and minutes, jumping seconds, ultralight De Bethune 30 seconds tourbillon in titanium, spherical moon phase indication, leap year indication, perpetual calendar indicating day, month, and date, and the end of the power reserve indication, something a bit new. We have also the age of the moon indication, and we also saw the DB28 XS Purple Rain in purple polished titanium case, and with the world's first random guilloche purple titanium dial. Okay, next brand, and with the revival of HYT, well, they knew that to increase their chances of success, well, they had to come up with a smaller size version of their timepieces. I mean, the original one might be cool, but they are simply massive on the wrist, and therefore the brand has now come with the T1 series with its signature hydromechanical technology, but in a smaller diameter of 45.3 millimeter with interchangeable rubber strap. Okay, it still sounds very big, but compared to previous model, it's for sure going more the wearable route. And during our Geneva visit, it was also great to see Satori Billard, the brand specialized in bespoke model, to be exhibiting for the very first time in the extended part of the Watch Week in the Beaulieu, in the Beau Rivage Hotel, and clearly demonstrates that the brand is picking up nicely, and this naturally can only make us happy. Still visiting around with a new space opened by Gérard Charles on the rooftop of one of the historical buildings on the rive droite of the Geneva Lake, and to honor the mastery of its eponymous founder, the brand opened there a small museum with Gérald Janta's timepieces and invites everyone to check it personally. Okay, one can clearly feel that a lot of efforts have been put or committed in redeveloping this brand over the last 12 months or so, but despite this prestigious legacy, this is nonetheless quite a tough journey ahead. I mean, we wish them luck, of course. So yes, there were quite a few watches to be seen during this Magic Geneva week, and we couldn't see everything, but this didn't prevent brands such as H. Moser, who despite exhibiting at the Carré des Horlogers, to introduce just a week after the end of the show a great timepiece. So since the beginning of the year, and reflecting the brand's current success, it entered a sponsorship deal with the Anglo-French Formula One team Alpine. Okay, this last one hasn't started the new season in its best possible form, but the first piece truly showcasing this partnership is for sure quite a timepiece with the Streamliner Alpine Edition, coming in two versions with a reminder of the color scheme found on the car, meaning a blue and a pink version of this skeletonized tourbillon featuring this mesmerizing cylindrical hairspring. And mb&f also introduced a new timepiece with a new version of the HM8 Mark II, this time coming with the blue carbon macaron case and this vertical time display initially seen with the HM5. It features a jumping hour mechanism and trailing minute counter, and this piece is limited to 33 pieces. And just a few days before the big event, well, mb&f, or should I say the Mad Editions, well, came with the final version of the Mad One, this time done in collaboration with the legendary French designer Jean-Charles de Castelbajac, a man Max Büsser really admires, a hero of his, and you could find his signature color splashing throughout the watch, limited to 999 pieces, obviously all gone. So I guess we finally reached the end of this special edition of Primetime Showtime, and on our side, I must admit that we had a great time during this special Geneva week, a bit too intense of course, but was really nice to see our friends, whether from brands, media outlets, and obviously collectors attending the party. And this type of communion can only be achieved physically, so we're very happy that such shows are still on the menu and getting better. Okay, well, thanks so much for watching, see you real soon, and until then, well, you know the drill, a massive Viva Watchmaking your way! See you, bye!